Hey, JulesBlessedVegan, and as always, welcome to my channel. And for those of you who are new, I know you can benefit. So I want to talk about the benefits of food dehydrating. So actually dehydrating your food. I had a bunch of heirloom tomatoes. I let them get away from me somehow. And I decided that I would love to dry them out, use them in salads, whatever. And also I was gifted some really large zucchinis that I wasn't using fast enough. I usually share everything with my pig, but I was like, you know what? Put them in the dehydrator and benefit from them later. So this is my dehydrator. It's just a little 6-tray dehydrator by what's it called, Redhead, which I actually got at Bass Pro. In much of the country it's Cabela. So I got that from Bass Pro. They don't only have things for killing animals there, okay? So right here, these are the beautiful, are you kidding me? Heirloom tomatoes. They look amazing. They're nice and warm. They're going to start shrinking up a little bit. Then right here, I just kind of made strips, and I put some Frontier brand. I actually put the pizza Frontier brand, which I think is delicious. And I will use those strips in something. And then down below, I just made these gigantic, beautiful wedges, again, of zucchini, which I'm going to probably make into a raw lasagna, which I think would be incredible. It's already making me hungry just looking at that stuff. Now I have a fantastic article, which of course I will share with you. Give me one moment. So this is called Drying All Foods, 10 Amazing Benefits of Dehydrating Food. Now, if you don't have a dehydrator and you're like, it doesn't exactly apply to you, first of all, they have a bunch. And in this article, of course, they're advertising like 10 from Amazon. And Lord knows there's 10,000 more. But also, it does talk about just drying out your food in the sun and stuff. So it's not all a dehydrator. But I did get into dehydrating a couple years ago when I saw the benefits of it, and I would encourage you, you could get just a 2-tray, a 4-tray. Some of these are round, you know, depending on how much space. Mine barely uses space. I love it. Okay. So it says, here is everything you need to know about dehydrating food. Imagine having enough food for the coming months. Imagine not having to worry about your food with too many additives in it. Imagine having an ample stock of fruit and veggies even when they're out of season. With food dehydration, all of these things are possible. Newsflash, this references meat, which of course I don't do. You might have someone in your family who loves meat. There are a bunch of great recipes. I always mention Tanny Raw, a social media phenom, who has an entire section on her YouTube page of just videos for dehydrating. One of them is to make a jerky, an actual jerky, which really mimics beef jerky, teriyaki, whatever that your person may really enjoy. But anyway, let's keep going. What is food dehydration? Food dehydration involves removing water and moisture from vegetables, fruits, meat, and fish through the use of the dehydrator or an oven and through sun drying. This helps prevent microorganisms like yeast, mold, and bacteria from growing and preserves food for future use while keeping nutrients intact. The practice of dehydrating food has been going on since the prehistoric times, where people dried seeds under the sun for later consumption. There's evidence that even back in 1200 BC, the Middle East and Oriental civilizations already sun-dried their food. Indians sun-dried sliced meat, the Japanese dried their fish and rice, and the Chinese sun-dried eggs. Given today's focus on fast food, though, people have either become too trusting towards food companies or too busy with their own affairs to think about what additives and preservatives are put in their burgers, what their French fries are made of, how their food is prepared, etc. The most common types of food dehydration. Preserving your own food means being able to control almost everything about the food you eat, including its quality. There are a number of ways to preserve food through dehydration. Among the most accessible means are sun drying and oven drying. Food preservation enthusiasts, of course, rely on standalone dehydrators. Now, let me say, as a raw vegan, to keep food raw, it cannot exceed 118 degrees. I try and go with about 115 and just dehydrate a little longer to ensure that all the nutrients remain intact, which is the definition of raw. So just consider that, but I don't know where you are on your walk. Okay, so one method, of course, is sun drying. If you would like to try sun drying, Fruits would be your best choice since they're rich in both sugars and acids. This means that they won't spoil easily during the process, unlike vegetables. Sun-drying meat or other meat, on the other hand, may lead to bacterial growth. You know what? Forget meat. That's what I would lovingly suggest. A line of Tanny Ross. Whenever she says she's going to lovingly suggest something, you know it's coming. May I lovingly suggest you get rid of meat? Why are you going to risk bacteria growth in what's already a dead animal on your plate? Okay? I said it. I know. Got a little righteous right there. Got a little hot in here. Hotter than my usual. People, skip the meat and let yourself fall in love with all the fruit and vegetables. Okay, I'm going to move on from that. How long does it take to sun-dry fruits? Tomatoes, for example, will need about 10 to 14 days literally in the sun. Depending on your recipe, some people like to add various things. I didn't add anything. I'm not going to add anything. But they say some people add things like salt, wine, ascorbic acid to the fruits before sun-drying them, literally in the sun. Oven drying. You'll need to consider the type of oven you have. If it runs on electricity, you should keep in mind that it'll have to be left on for hours. So can you afford that? It might not be cost effective depending on where you live. Also, you need to keep the oven door slightly open to get rid of the moisture. And this can cause your room to feel warmer, although it would be a good source of additional heat during frigid months. But in the high desert at 107, not so much, right? So you got to consider that. And then, of course, using a food dehydrator, and they've gotten so less expensive. For the benefits of a food dehydrator, you can actually find them for like $49, $69. You do not need to go crazy. Look at some of the ads that are in this article. Once you become accustomed to dehydrating food, you might want to invest in a dehydrator. Unlike the oven, a dehydrator won't destroy food enzymes. It also allows for even yet thorough drying. There's the advantage of being more energy efficient as well, which should translate to greater savings. And by the way, you won't have to check on a dehydrator as frequently since it's much safer to use. I agree with all of that. If you're wondering which type of food dehydrator is most cost effective, here's a comparison, but it was done back in 2010. Look for more recent things, seriously. It's been years and the costs vary now, but this would give you an idea. This estimate factors in things such as the equipment use, the amount of repair, the electrical consumption, the packaging method, etc. Freezing food costs $81 for every 500 pounds, or 16.2 cents per pound of food. Canning food costs $31 for every 560 pounds, or 5.5 cents per pound. Dehydrating costs only $24.29 for every 500 pounds, or 4.8 cents per pound of food. Dehydrating for the win, like seriously. All right, so let's get into the benefits. Here are the benefits. Number one, you'll finally be able to buy in bulk without worrying about spoilage, which I agree, because just now I was about to say, I'll feed my pig, I'll give it to the horses, and then I was like, slow down, cowgirl. You can actually dehydrate that stuff. So you can visit a farmer's market, buy loads of fruit and vegetables at a bargain, dehydrate them, and then store them for later use. If you're business-minded, you can even sell your dried food, since they're quite pricey in the stores. Number two, you get to save time, energy, and money. Most people carry a grocery list but still end up getting additional items such as chips, candy bars, and drinks. It's called impulse buying, and it's why chocolates are placed at the checkout counter. Once you've built the habit of preserving your own food, you'll need less time at the store and eventually save money. Number three, you'll have a chance to prepare special meals at lower cost. By dehydrating food, you'll no longer need to wait for the right season to enjoy nutrient-packed fruit and vegetables at an affordable price. With dried foods, you can enjoy seasonal foods like pineapples and cherries, regardless of the season. You can dehydrate any food that you want, but here's a list to give you an idea. They have meat. I'm going to say peace be with you. Vegetables. They have asparagus, beets, broccoli, carrots, corn, cucumbers, onion, potato, pumpkin, and tomato. So funny that those all fall under vegetable, because we know by definition tomato, pumpkin, cucumber are all considered fruit. But anyway, okay, so that's an interesting list for fruit: apples, banana, coconut, kiwi, mango, papaya, watermelon. It's a very limited list because, as you know, I just put in zucchini. All right, number 4. You'll save time preserving food compared to canning. Canning means having to sterilize your glass jars or cans before using them and having to prepare the sauce that will go with your canned foods. Dehydrating food, on the other hand, would just require washing food, slicing them as needed, placing them inside your dehydrator, switching the machine on, and waiting for the process to finish. Number 5, you will get to free up space. Since drying shrinks food, you won't need a big space to store them, unlike when you can or freeze your food. You can store dried food in different sizes of mason jars or Ziploc bags. If you're thinking of long-term storage, you may opt for a vacuum-sealed bag or plastic container. Recycling containers are also a great option. Use silica gel to prevent moisture from filtering through your containers. Those are those little silica gel packets. I'm familiar, but I've certainly never used them. Number 6, you'll finally have full control over the food you eat. If you're worried about genetically modified food, or if you're not confident about how foods are prepared in restaurants or fast food chains, then drying food, especially if you're able to grow your own produce, would be a great option for you. It's highly recommended to dry food immediately after harvesting them to lock in the nutrients, of course. While dehydrated foods can be bought from the stores, unfortunately, some of them have sugars and additives. Yeah, read the fine print, guys. Those get crazy. Oh my gosh, very few are just the dehydrated fruit or food itself. Thus, by dehydrating food on your own, you'll be sure that you're eating healthier food. You can add dehydrated fruits to trail mix or use them as a replacement to chips and fries. You may also choose to grind dehydrated foods such as onion and garlic. Ooh, that's neat. Likewise, you could crush your dehydrated vegetables into powder form, store them, and cook them up as a soup later on. That's brilliant. I have never dared, but I love the idea. Number 7, you'll manage to eat less and still be energized. When you dehydrate fruits, for example, you concentrate fruit sugars. This means that you can consume just a few dried fruits if you have the grace, right? If you have stopping sense. But you can consume just a fruit. Oh my Lord, I can speak. Let me try it again. You can consume just a few dried fruits and still have the same energy as when you eat them fresh. Are you kidding? That was an effort. I was really tongue-tied on the few dried fruits. Wow. Okay, this is why dried foods are popular among campers and backpackers. They're lightweight, but packed with nutrients. Like for me, when I dehydrate bananas, which I love to use as a treat or put in banana and ice cream or something, like I'm really going for it, I literally take the banana and I just chop, and I count how many. If it's 24 slices, I will know that I have consumed an entire banana, which is 100 calories on average, right? So I think it's really important to have a sense of that, because otherwise it adds up, my friends. Anyway, be sure to eat mindfully when nibbling on dried food, since it's easy to consume more than you need in a short amount of time. And if your work or daily activity involves a lot of sitting, binging on dried fruit will make you gain weight quite fast. I'm so glad they said that. Number 8, you'll have a great supply of antioxidants and fiber. Dried foods, especially fruits, have a greater concentration of fiber and antioxidants than fresh fruits, obviously, right? Because it's being shrunk down into a smaller amount. Also, since they're all natural, they're healthier for you. Also, nutrients such as vitamin C, beta-carotene, and iron are kept intact. Number 9, you will get better tasting food that can be enjoyed in different ways. Dehydrated foods are flavorful since they're not watered down. Still, there are preservation enthusiasts. Okay, so you're preserving things, so preservation, okay? Enthusiasts who recommend to let dried food absorb some distilled water before consumption, so rehydrate a little bit. There are even people who prefer to steam their dried food. That seems so counterproductive to me. You just preserve the nutrients only to turn around and kill them. It's up to you to discover what you prefer. You won't produce as much waste, especially from spoilage. Do you have fruit or vegetables that are about to spoil? That was my situation, right? Slice them up and dehydrate them. Mother Nature will thank you. Food dehydration will enable you to enjoy foods that are closest to their natural state, which are considered healthier. If there's a reason why the process has been around since prehistoric times, it's because it works. Okay, so food dehydration can change your life. There are lots to consider if you're going to start dehydrating food, such as investing in equipment, container and storage space, also making time to purchase foods to be dehydrated, prepping them and storing them for later. But the benefits outweigh the hassles. Just the fact that you can have enough healthy food for prolonged periods is a great advantage. It's high time for you to be mindful of what you consume and to make sure that your food will help strengthen your life. There's no need to wait until you're diabetic or suffering from high blood pressure before you decide to let go of fast food products. Your body will show whether you consume healthy or unhealthy food. As they say, you are what you eat, and by dehydrating food, eating healthy should be relatively easy. To learn more about it, please click here, which of course you can certainly do. And they even have a course that they offer for like $12.99 on how to dehydrate foods in every way. So yeehaw, you saw my start. I can share that product later. I'm also going to be making my famous, and I'm so good at it, spinach wraps, and probably my apple spinach wraps, and I'll be sharing that too. So I have other videos on dehydrating foods, but I just wanted to get into this great article. Sorry I'm tripping over myself. I'm so tired and my mouth is bothering me. I got my new set and my teeth are a little sore, but I'm happy to do it, and I'm happy that you guys checked in. So like if you like, join us if you haven't, subscribe. Let me know in the comments below how I may support you. Questions about dehydrating, requests for prayers, I am all in. And until we talk again, my friends, happy Saturday, and best of all, know that you are blessed.